Hello and welcome to the final instalment of Phone Age News. I want to start by saying a big thanks to the 40 so of you that have been following me along this long road of despair over the previous few months since I started doing these videos. I hope I'll give you a few smiles and laughs as the darkness approaches. My Doomatron quantum computer has recently calculated that the Doomsday clock is at just seconds to midnight, but it's just short-circuited and blown up. It's my own fault for fitting it with an emotion chip. It just couldn't take it. For any new viewers watching, let me introduce myself. I am Nostradamus, and I believe that we are about to behold unimaginable, catastrophic catastrophes of an ever-increasing frequency and power of destruction. The lights are about to go out on human civilization. I'm going to begin with an article from Japan Today from the 26th. Earth's future is being written in fast-melting Greenland. I come on here because I wanted to get some figures. We all know Greenland's melted away. This is what I want some numbers. Summer this year is hitting Greenland hard with record-shattering heat and extreme melts. By the end of the summer, about 440 billion tons of ice, maybe more, but definitely more, will have melted or carved off Greenland's giant ice sheet. Science underestimate. Some of you may know there was an extreme melt period between July the 31st and August the 1st. More than 58 billion tons melted in just that short few days. And that doesn't even account for the calving events or the warm water eating away. So it's even more. We could be on to a trillion tons. So it just made me think about something. Now, I know this year has been an exceptional year for ice loss in Greenland, but you've got to add on all the loss from previous years as well. Millions and millions of tons, no, trillions of tons of ice. So all that ice was sitting on Greenland, which has now gone. And Greenland is part of the North American Craton. So you take away all that weight of the ice and the ground is going to rebound. Take away all that weight and the land will rise. It will try to rise up. So what do you think is going to happen if this land is trying to rise up? And this is a solid landmass. So if that's going to try and rise, think of it tilted. it's going to force it down on the opposite side. And directly, exactly opposite, is where we find Ridgecrest and the Searles Valley, where we had the big earthquakes and the logjam. So I think that the ice loss in Greenland, I'll put it in southern Greenland because most of the ice has been lost in this area, is putting pressure down onto the opposite area. It's like a balance. This bit trying to go up, putting pressure on this, trying to go down. It's just like a huge big rock. It's what it is basically. So here we are on USGS showing all earthquakes magnitude 2.5 or higher in the past 7 days, excluding all the ones in China and Russia, plus the 2.9 that happened at the fracking site in the UK. Ooh, wonder where that's gone. Anyway, I just want to focus on what's been going on over here. So this is the area here, directly opposite where the ice is melting in Greenland. So you can imagine the landmass trying to rise at the opposite end because it's lost all that weight of ice over the past few years, and quite a lot this summer. So this is going to tilt downwards. This is the subduction zone, with the Pacific plates going under the North American plate, and this is pressing down even more pressure, extra pressure, going down onto the Pacific plate. We had this 6.3 on the 29th. We've had another little one just today, recently, 2.9. There's lots of stresses building up in the Wandafuka, which is all going to transfer into California. So I just want to talk about something I haven't touched on much in my previous videos. I've been neglecting it, and I think it needs a bit more attention. I am, of course, talking about the Cascadia subduction zone. Just going to read to you what it says on Wiki. The last known great earthquake in the northwest was the year 1700 Cascadia earthquake. Evidence indicates that great earthquakes greater than magnitude 8 may have occurred sporadically at least 7 times in the last 3,500 years, suggesting a return time of about 500 years. Seafloor core evidence indicates that there have been 41 subduction zone earthquakes on the Cascadia subduction zone in the past 10,000 years. So they happen regular. And there will be another one. The question is when. It suggests a general average earthquake recurrence interval of only 243 years. Of these 41, 19 have produced a full margin rupture, wherein the entire fault opens up, which is bad. By comparison, similar subduction zones in the world usually have such earthquakes every 1 to 200 years. The longer interval here may indicate unusually large stress buildup and subsequent unusually large earthquake slip. There is also evidence of accompanying tsunamis with every earthquake. They actually used the evidence from the land in the soils to find evidence of tsunamis in the datum, and that's how they find out the dates. One strong line of evidence for these earthquakes is convergent timings for fossil damage from tsunamis in the Pacific Northwest and historical Japanese records of tsunamis. And we've got estimates of when the Cascadia faults ripped open. It doesn't give you the magnitudes, obviously they don't know. From back then, we had an interval of 250 years, then 400, and then it went 900 years plus before the next one happened. But after that big one, it went 330 years, and it went 210, and then we had another long stretch of 780 years. So after that long stretch, it went 330 years, and we've had another big long stretch in 1700. So if that next one's 330 years, that brings us to 2030. If it follows the same pattern. But I'm just wondering whether human-induced climate change, global warming, causing the ice to melt on Greenland, may bring the next Cascadia big earthquake forward a bit sooner than what it would have naturally occurred. What do you think? Now on to something my regular viewers will know I've been covering in great depth because of the threat I believe it poses to the Mediterranean coast. Survived by a miracle. Watch this boat full of tourists narrowly escape the erupting Stromboli Volcano. That's from July. It's been proper kicking off the last week or so. I'm going to play these for you. Looks like a monster coming after them. Unbelievable. That's just the ash falling back down. Hang on, there's more. Run away! Run away! awesome. Absolutely awesome. What I'm worried about is the old flank collapsing into the sea, which will cause a mega tsunami all around the Mediterranean coast. We've got vents coming out all the way around within the flanks. It's all destabilizing. It'll go someday. And with activity like that, just be on your guard if you're on holiday on a beach. Just take minutes. This is Stromboli right now at this minute on the live webcam. Nothing's happening. Considering it's been having continuous eruptions on the go continuously for the past few days. That is a little too quiet for me. I think it's getting ready for hang on. I think it's getting ready for an enormous blast. Quite stark, the difference from just yesterday. Right then, let's head over to Mar-a-Lago Club, where President Trump spends his Florida vacations. And he got 3.1 stars. Let's have a look at the reviews. Food is wonderful and the staff treats you like family who lives there. Also, they charge $100 for parking in a gravel lot, no less. I've stayed at truck stops that were nicer. As someone else noted, it smells rancid, like mould encrusted, filthy carpet, or like something died, like a rat, and was left to decompose. The food is terrible. Try Mackey's down the street. Amazing place. The decor is super. I thought it said the doctor is superb because you needed one. Tacky decor, overpriced meals, smells dirty or musty and needs some new decor. Hang on, so it was great decor. You either love Trump or you hate Trump. They love Trump, they hate Trump. They have different views. See all reviews. Oh God. What? Oh, it's the first time I read this. Is funny. Worst resort I've ever seen. Everything's overpriced. Yeah, well, it's that's. And there is some kind of weird smell that seems to permeate the place and the grounds, almost like the smell of failure and desperation. Anyway, you would be way better off going to any other place in the area. Or anywhere. This ain't it. Oh, jeez. Oh, he loves it. Big opportunities if he come for business. Dorian was listening when the owner of this place bullied Puerto Rico again. Dorian, do your thing. I'm just about to get onto that, Marcia. Lol, bunch of butter liberals complaining about a place you're gonna have to check this out yourselves. Food is horrible and overpriced. 5-star lobster for lunch. Yeah. Overrated club. Horrible place. Highly recommend. Dirty. Heaven on earth. Full of roaches and stinks mouldy. Are these people talking about the same place? That is that's incredible. I'll have to go and have a good look and laugh at that myself. I'm not gonna. You're gonna have to go on there. You'll have to go on here. If you want to check out them reviews, all you have to do is Google Mar-a-Lago and maps, and then this will come up, and just click on the picture. No, you don't need to click on picture. Go down and just click on see all reviews and have a good laugh at that. Right, the reason for this is I just wanted to point out exactly where Mar-a-Lago Club is. It's just to the east of the south tip of this big massive sinkhole here. Okay? Just remember where it is. Just to the east of the southern tip of the biggest sinkhole in Florida. Right. This is the National Hurricane Center's latest forecast track for Hurricane Dorian. And look where it's gonna bullseye. I think if it hits they should rename it after. I think they should call it Hurricane Damien. Right, I'm over on tropical tidbits now. Looking at the GFS model, what it predicts Dorian is gonna do. There it is, right at this moment in time. It's got a central low pressure of 987 millibars. Run forward in time. Here it comes to 969, 959, approaching landfall, 948, 948. And this is the forecast. Could be a powerful little sod this one. Just wouldn't it be ironic if the biggest, baddest, strongest hurricane ever, imagine if it was the first ever Cat 6 hurricane to ever form on the planet, and it was a direct hit on the biggest ever climate deniers holiday retreat and totally flattened Mar-a-Lago, turning it into no more a Lago. That would be so ironic. Let's see where it's projected to go and do after that. Track slowly up the east coast. And then out to sea. Probably messing up our weather again. The European model has it whizzing past New York, still as an intense hurricane. Flipping heck. And that's shooting off into the Atlantic. There's a very powerful storm still. This one could be full of surprises. There'll be no surprise here to me how this ends up. What's going on in Hong Kong? Activists arrested, Joshua Wong and others charged. Hong Kong activists Joshua Wong and Agnes Chow vow to continue protest after their release on bail. Oh, they released them? I didn't even know they released them. I was coming on here to tell you they'd locked them up ahead of the banned protest for tomorrow, 5-day anniversary of the umbrella protest. They've arrested quite a few. I think the authorities are trying to wind the protesters up. I think this weekend they're going to see major violence in Hong Kong, and it's just what the authorities want. I think China's just waiting for an excuse to move in.
China's military has sent a new batch of troops into Hong Kong. That's according to Beijing's state media Thursday. State broadcaster CCTV showed troop carriers heading across the border in darkness before arriving at the People's Liberation Army barracks in Hong Kong. It was described as a routine troop rotation. The video also showed troops disembarking from a PLA Navy ship. It comes as protests in Hong Kong continue to rock the city. The angry and sometimes violent protests against the government have lasted 3 months. Beijing has denounced the protests, accused the US and Britain of interfering in its affairs in Hong Kong, and sent clear warnings that forceful intervention is possible. Asian and Western diplomats in Hong Kong tell Reuters they've been expecting the move of PLA troops as an annual event. But they also said they'll be closely watching for any sign of increased troop numbers or unusual activity. Also in recent weeks, hundreds of People's Armed Police carried out drills in the mainland Chinese city of Shenzhen, just across the border from Hong Kong. The protests are the greatest political crisis to strike the city since it returned to Chinese rule in 1997, and one of the biggest popular challenges to Chinese leader Xi Jinping since he came to power 7 years ago.
One thing's for sure, all these Oriental wannabe Captain Americas fighting for freedom and democracy may be responsible for the recent increase in road traffic accidents in the city of Hong Kong recently. I'm trying to imagine which battle lines would be drawn if the Chinese troops did move into Hong Kong to quell the protests, which I think is highly likely. So UK wouldn't be very happy with with that happening, so would the States, United States, back UK up? Would the EU countries, Germany, France, and back us up and get together? And of course, on the other side, you'd have Russia on the side of China. This could cause major problems. And if the troops did move in and nobody did anything about it, then China would just feel free and they'd, they'd just take Taiwan next week. They just think, oh, they're not bothered. They're not bothered about Hong Kong. They won't be bothered about Taiwan either. We'll just take over every little sovereignty in the South China Sea. That's how I see this playing out. Now back to the weather. The Antarctic region is undergoing a severe episode of sudden stratospheric warming. Southern stratospheric warming event is forecast to unfold 30 to 50 kilometres above Antarctica during late August. This may lead to unusual or extreme weather in parts of the southern hemisphere, potentially in New Zealand, during September and October. Very rare and uncommon. There have only been 2 since records began. Sudden stratospheric warming is a heat wave in the stratosphere. Can disturb an area called the polar vortex, which keeps harsh wintry conditions locked up close to the South Pole. It can weaken the vortex that can lead to cold air masses branching off from Antarctica into the middle latitudes, and one of the places that could see the impacts could be New Zealand. Now, in the centre of Antarctica, it's minus 80 usually, and this could just release all that freezing air across the South Island and New Zealand in particular. It could get really cold in the Northern Islands, Southern Australia, Tasmania, and even southern tip of South America could suffer from extreme cold. 50. This is black. That's off the scale, and the scale goes up to 50 degrees above average. So you get all this heat in the upper atmosphere, and it forces the vortex to collapse, and all that really cold air on the surface just flows out. We had this in Europe. The beast from the east was caused by the northern version of sudden stratospheric warming, but I don't remember seeing the colours that black. Bit of history. There have only been 2 sudden stratospheric warming events in New Zealand in recorded times. One in September 02 and the other in September 10. After the one in 2002, New Zealand experienced its coldest October in 20 years, with below average temperatures covering much of the country and frequent ground frosts. In 2010, which was classed as a minor event, a number of rainfall records were broken, with well below normal sunshine and very cold temperatures at the South Island. I just think this is going to get amplified with all the freak weather everywhere that's going on. This could be serious weather phenomenon. We'll see as it unfolds over the next few weeks. Just for the record, old blowhole in northwest Siberia is back up to quadruple figure emissions of sulfur dioxide. I'm on old school, so I want to show you all the particulates in the atmosphere at the moment. This is all the dust coming from the Sahara getting blown off. This is all from the burning Amazon. All the fires in Siberia still going. And of course, got all the pollution as well. From oil production there. These are all from fires. I've got a reason for showing this because there's an awful lot of stuff flying around in the air at the moment. This is quite an interesting article from NASA. This is from way back in 2005. But I do think it has implications on what we're seeing today with the extreme weather events that we're seeing. Saharan dust affects thunderstorm behaviour in Florida and everywhere else, probably. People that live in the world would expect the sands from the state's beaches to blow into the air and usually don't think of the sands and dust from the Saharan desert swirling around them. However, winds do carry the desert dust across the Atlantic Ocean, and scientists have been studying what they do to Florida thunderstorms. And it's been quite exceptional this year, the amount of dust that's been blown up into the atmosphere, and add to that all the smoke from all the fires that have been going off everywhere. Scientists have discovered that these tiny particles of dust can affect thunderstorms in various ways. Dust affects the size of a thunderstorm's anvil or top, the strength and number of warm updrafts, and the amount of rain that builds up and falls from the heat generated or convective thunderstorms. It was found that when Saharan dust is in the air, the thunderstorm anvils created by the convective thunderstorms tend to be a little smaller in area, but they tend to be better organised and thicker. So I'm thinking if there's more dust in the atmosphere, the actual storms are more compact and the energy is more compressed, which is why the lightning seems to be getting stronger. Maybe. That's what I think. This affects the amount of incoming sunlight and warmth reaching the ground, which can have effects on long-term climate. The researchers also noticed that the updrafts of warm moist air which build into thunderstorms were stronger, and that there were more of these updrafts produced in the presence of the dust. Well, that would explain why we're seeing more and more and bigger hailstones. These updrafts also carry tiny particles of pollution called aerosols up into all levels of the building thunderclouds. Now it goes on to discussing amount of rainfall. people not only see more updrafts developing during dust events, but the dust affects the amount of rainfall that reaches the ground. Dust is an aerosol, and aerosols, or little particles, serve as a centre or nuclei called a cloud condensation nuclei for cloud droplets to form around. These cloud droplets then combine to form raindrops which fall to the ground. As such, aerosols affect the production of rainfall. There are three types of nuclei that Saharan dust can be. They can act as the centre or nuclei for water vapour, as a cloud condensation nuclei, a giant cloud condensation nuclei, and an ice nuclei, where ice forms around the dust particle centre. A computer model was used to see how the atmosphere and clouds react with Saharan dust and without the desert dust. Then compared the results and found something unusual. The dust increased the number of centres of nuclei for raindrops and decreased the amount of rainfall at the Earth's surface. Nuclei, or centres for droplets in a cloud, compete for a limited amount of water vapour and liquid water to form raindrops. When there are many particles that act as a centre for water vapour, there is less water for each centre, resulting in smaller cloud droplets. As such, it is less likely that raindrops will form when droplets combine. The scientists also found that greater concentrations of giant CCNs, as well as ice nuclei, initially resulted in more rainfall reaching the surface. However, as the storms continued to develop, the two types of nuclei were removed from the storms by the precipitation, and these nuclei then had less of an effect on the amount of rain reaching the surface. The scientists concluded that the overall effect of the Saharan dust on the surface rainfall was to reduce it. But they're just talking about Saharan dust. At the moment, we've got quite a lot of Saharan dust, plus all the smoke from the fires in the Amazon and what we've had in Canada and Alaska and Siberia. And plus, we've got some extra GCCNs, giant cloud concentration nuclei, in the form of plastic in the atmosphere, which of course they couldn't have studied back in 2005, but has now become an integral part of the Earth's atmosphere. You hear these scientists talking about for every 1 degree Celsius increase in average world temperatures, you get 7% more water vapour in the atmosphere, and yet the floodings that's been going on, places getting 6 months worth of rain in 12 hours, it doesn't sort of add up. 7% more and 1,000% more rain. So there's more to it than that, and I think it's because of all this particles in the atmosphere, whether it be Saharan dust or smoke particles or even microplastics. So that's it from Phone Age News. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. It's helped me with my depression doing the videos. And if you watched all my previous videos, you'd have some idea of what to expect, which is all about to shortly hit us in the face. You may not have quite heard the last of me. I am planning another video which isn't news related, but you may find interesting, but I'm not going to let on just yet about what it's about. And time permitting, I may start a little blog if we get a short extension to our time on Earth. I'm just going to leave you with a short poem I wrote earlier on today. Here we go. Fires in the forests, plastic in the sea, destruction of a planet. It's caused by you and me.